okay with me. We've got Fox here, one of our videographers, who's filming in 2D as well. So thank you so much. Wonderful. So thank you everybody for coming to another Univirtual experience in collaboration with Educators in VR and Virtual World Society. Please do check out the schedule on our website because we have a whole host of events on different platforms with different speakers and industry experts for the rest of the month. I'm sure most of you here are aware of that schedule at educatorsinvr.com. Just before we start with Jon Gress and Dave School, I want to say a big thank you to our sponsors, HP, who are our Infinity sponsors this year, to Engage Platform, who's been super supportive with all our events and panels and so on, to Avantis Education in the UK. They make great hardware and got some interesting software coming, to Grove XR, to Tony Trudell and the videography team, Tony Cubed Studios, to Donna McTaggart of Let's Meet in VR, our event manager and director, who's amazing at running. Like we couldn't do it without her. She's really the backbone of what we do. That's enough for me. I'm handing over to Jon. Jon, want to take over, introduce yourself, let us know? Fantastic. Here we go.
Hello.
All right.
Thank you, Daniel.
All right.
So with that opening applause, it's going to be sort of key and fundamental to sort of the whole tone and attitude of what we're going to talk about today. Let me ask you a quick question. Just by a show of hands, how many people in here? I know I see a lot of familiar faces, and originally this was going to be keyed to be a little bit more of a basic kind of a presentation. How many people are pretty well versed in VR? Is everybody in here really versed in VR? And in implementation from an educational standpoint?
I would say so.
Okay, so we may veer off into some other territory, but I know this is being broadcast, so we're going to kind of cover some of these fundamental bases as well. My name is Jon Gress. I'm the academic director for the Digital Animation and Visual Effects School at Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida. And let me see if I have control of my presentation. A new version of Engage, which new versions of software always come with fun and exciting new things. So the Dave School was founded on June 8th in 2000 by industry professionals. One of the things that makes us different than a lot of other schools in these kind of industries is that the school was founded by industry professionals for industry professionals. We were sort of developed in as a simulation to a studio environment. One of the things that sort of makes Dave School unique is that we create an exact studio setting, and students come in from knowing pretty much nothing prior to being industry ready and ready to be working in motion picture visual effects, immersive game technologies, simulation, and we teach an interesting pipeline, which I'm going to show you in a minute. But the game production program followed 13 years later in September of 2013, making it the second program. And in 2016, we started a motion graphics program as well. We do have bachelor's degrees in all three of these, but our main core has always sort of been that bar of motion picture visual effects fidelity. So this year was Dave School's, this past year was Dave School's 20th anniversary. We've been for those same 20 years on the backlot of Universal Studios. And this is sort of a really quick overview of the Dave School production pipeline and the way that we have sort of devised over the years a way to get a student who knows nothing from the beginning up to speed very quickly. And it's broken off, and the one thing that's kind of interesting that's different these days than it was previously is you'll kind of notice that we start off learning modeling, animation, lighting and look development, and then we branch off into the specifics of what a student is looking to do, whether they're going into motion picture visual effects or whether they're going into real time. The thing that's interesting about this, though, that's changed over a period of time is these three being together now. And as time goes on, these are sort of converging more and more. And this concept of convergence is one of the things that I want to sort of harp on a little bit and talk about convergence in the industry and why that leads in a lot of cases to overwhelm and the sort of inability of a lot of educational institutions to get started in implementing an actual full-on VR type program. Dave School's been in, we've been doing immersive technologies for a very long time. We built our own VR headsets back in the day, and with the advent of new, more cost-effective VR headsets these days, it really just opened the door for us to be able to do a lot of really cool things. In the past, we've done things from building our own motion bases for doing ride simulation to everything from 3D, stereoscopic, kind of across the board. Anything, if it has motion picture visual effects, game, immersive in it, we've done it at some point. The big push over the past couple of years has obviously been virtual production. I was talking a little while ago and heard Alan's here, Alan Smithson, and he was talking about how, doing these kind of productions way back when for the industry, this is kind of a new and exciting thing. For some of us, though, we've been doing this kind of virtual production for a very long time. One of the first virtual productions we did, complete full remote production, was around 2013, 2014. And Alan, you can take a look. One of the things that we do here at the Dave School is invite in really cutting edge, exciting development people. And Alan was here at the school talking to the students and telling them about the opportunities in these new emerging fields. So educating in VR, fast track, and the anatomy of overwhelm. This is a slide. It's actually a little bit of an old slide, but this is a slide that I used to present. Hello, Lisa. You are now on stage with me. This is a slide that I used to present in doing motion picture visual effects presentation, and what it represents is very relevant to VR and immersive technologies. I know that a lot of people here are working in sort of high-end VR and immersive technologies, so I think you'll find this very relevant for those of you watching at home, for those educators who are just getting started in VR. I think this will help explain a lot of why you feel overwhelmed. So back in the day, in the creation of a motion picture, you sort of, this is, I had this as the old days. You had the above the line people, you had your director and your all your top end people, and then you have all of your trades and artists underneath, everything from concept artists to set constructors, matte painters, textures, lighters. You have your actors, your makeup, your wardrobe, your sound, and so on. This is a lot of people. In the 80s and 90s, when large-scale mainframe computers started giving way to personal computers, we found this sort of trend where all of these type of trades were now getting compressed down. So you have somebody who worked in set construction now is becoming part of the 3D modeling department. People in the texturing are now also becoming sort of consolidated into the 3D modeling department. As we go into the 90s and early 2000s, we see that this convergence is happening more and more and more. And now you're getting 3D animation department, a visual effects, compositing, sound, and editorial, now doing the job that all of these trades once did. And as we move further and further into the current 2020s and beyond, what we're finding is now things that used to be entire career paths, things like motion picture 3D match moving, things like rotoscoping, all these things were individual trades are now being sort of heaped on one lone visual effects guy. The reason this is relevant to VR, AR, immersive technologies is because now you have this compounded, I would say, a tenfold to what this was. Because whereas this was all basically in the visual effects for motion picture realm, now you have this new thing called real-time technologies and immersive, which kind of lumps together both the whole gaming industry, which traditionally the game real-time technologies were only in-game. But as they've developed over time, they're now being consolidated along with all these other trades from the motion picture to give you this experience that we're sitting in here right now. This experience involved the programming end of the programmers. It involves the immersive game in the engine and the Engage platform to be able to have all the communications and the behind the scenes interface of how this whole thing is put together. But also you have these kind of things here. You have the traditional 3D modeling and texturing and lighting, and all of these components are all now converged onto a very small group of people. So as an individual educator, as a head of a department, as an instructor, as a dean of academics, as anybody in the educational field, I'm sure you all see the benefit. We've seen the studies from companies like Microsoft that showed the efficacy of 3D and immersion and all of the different senses that are just lit up and ingrain that learning in a student. Everybody from UPS to Walmart are all using these technologies to help train because, as Mark Robb of UPS said, when students only know the perfect picture, they do the perfect picture. So how does that get us from being an educator and doing all of this stuff into actually implementing? Well, now you add on top of that you've got to go through the approval process. You have to go through accreditation. You have to go through the any kind of bureaucratic red tape that you have of getting department approvals and all of this kind of stuff. So now, as an educator, as any one of these positions, you're now faced with having to be a motion picture artist, you have to be a game artist, you have to be a programmer, and you have to get through all of these hurdles. And where that becomes a problem is that our industry, especially in the motion picture visual effects and immersive technologies industries, it's changing every month. And if you have to wait for that whole process to go through, by the time you get through that process, get a curriculum developed, get it all approved, get it all ported over into whatever format it needs to be, the industry's already changed. You've already missed the boat, and now you're back to square one. So there's no doubt that it's completely overwhelming. So what's the answer? The answer that I've seen over the past few years is we find a platform that already exists. There's no need, if you're going out to drive to the store, you don't need to learn how to build a car to be able to get to the store. You find a car, you jump in, and you go. So I found that there are these couple of kind of ways of looking at the industry, and I call them the black holes and the wormholes of the industry. For any of you science buffs out there, you know the concept of black hole.
I think he was going to say black hole, and I think he fell into a black hole.
I was just going to say.
Let's give him a sec. He'll pop. I'm sure he'll be popping back. I know he was having internet difficulties earlier.
Absolutely. That's such classic timing, black hole.
I know, right?
Was that one of his students pulling a prank on him?
Yeah,
like
I think something was uploading. He's at his school right now, so there's a little bit of an internet issue going on. He'll be back, I'm sure. In the meantime, I'll try to throw his screens back up there.
Lovely. Yeah.
Real-time demo of the black hole.
Just while we're waiting, one of the things I find fascinating about Jon's work is that from the conversation I had with him, Dave's school and that industry, they've been creating visual effects and digital animation for 20 years, if I'm not mistaken. It's the nature of their industry that they've been ahead of the game, and to embrace XR like this, where they're now teaching students in VR on the Engage platform about the visual effects, the amplifier effect of this, I find really interesting. And I know Jon said he wanted to take us to a few other locations as part of his presentation. I'll be very curious to see what we get to experience there as well. Just give him a bit of time to come back. in the meantime, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're about 10 days into this. Chris, when he jumps back, let me know. But
Okay.
we're about 10 days into this conference. So would anybody like to share maybe some standout moments you had, or something that stood out for you, an experience or an event that you were at, just while we're waiting for Jon to come back? Anyone want to share anything? We've got Matt. Matt, is that you from HP? Is that Matt? Oh, we got Jon back. Maybe we'll save that for later on. Wonderful, Jet.
Sorry about that. I
That's okay. I was just filling the gaps for you. That's all good.
I provoked the universe talking about black holes and got sucked
We
into
said
That's
exactly
what we said.
that.
Yeah.
All right, over to you. Take it away.
All right, let me reset our screens here.
I got that one in the back for you, Jon. I don't know about the others.
Are we back? Okay, we're back.
Yeah, looking good.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
I'm gonna hope the universe doesn't come after me again. All right, let's see. Okay. So the thing I want everybody to sort of remember is, before we begin, you are and then fill in the blank. Whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is that your occupation is, that you're thinking about using these technologies to make these kind of amazing leaps and gains in what's possible, don't forget it is what sort of the original intent that you're looking for. It's very easy to go off into these sort of black holes, and you need to kind of look at where the rubber meets the road, which is implementation. You need to be able to implement as fast as possible. The technology is going to be racing ahead. There are going to be bigger and better things coming down the pike, but if you never get started, you're never getting off the start. So let's talk about a couple of the black holes first. The first thing is, and I'm sure in this group, we've got some people who are doing the programming themselves, but for the most part, as an educator, if you don't already know the programming, trying to get started by learning the programming of it from scratch, you may develop it for one program, but if you're trying to do programs across the board, even if you're something like a science teacher or a history teacher, or somebody in a trade that's trying to come up with a training program, trying to learn the programming from day one is basically, like we showed before, it's a whole nother occupation. Trying to start learning 3D, even though this is our trade and we do it very well, we'll take a student from knowing nothing to being able to work in the industry in a year's time as a very effective 3D artist. But again, if you're looking to implement right away, going down this path to start is an enormous kind of time warp you're going to have to go into. And then trying to create entire curricula in VR from the start, having to develop as all of these different occupations, that's where overwhelm kicks in. And I didn't know Chris was actually going to be here at this event, but this is going to be kind of a giant plug for Engage and the Engage platform. This is the one that sort of sat with us as what you're seeing here, the wormhole. How do we go from point A to point B without the giant vortex of time? How do we get and be able to jump in and start implementing immediately and finding the platform that works for you? For us in particular, it was Engage. It does all the things that we needed to do, allows us to go from point A to point B and implement immediately. So the other things that we're going to talk about in, finding the existing platform, not necessarily, even though we create much of our own assets, for the people who are just getting started here, you don't need to create your own assets. Going down that road, trying to create all your own assets, if it's not already what you do, is another one of those giant vortexes of time. hire a 3D artist, create any custom assets. There's lots of 3D artists who are out there just waiting. And I'm hopefully, even for those of you who are kind of seasoned, myself included in this, it's always kind of good to kind of circle back and touch base and say, am I going down a rabbit hole of, I know I found myself a few weeks ago, I was just talking to Chris about it earlier, in creating our own full environments, which I'm going to do a little tour and take you guys through some of the ones that we've done. But even going down those rabbit holes, sometimes is that the most effective way to get something done and get it off the ground? So how do we begin our journey? Start thinking outside the box. Typically, when the people that I've encountered with the VR ARA, with people that I talk to on a daily basis, they kind of start to think with training. Training seems to be one of those things that's sort of a no-brainer. So when they get started, they say, where do we start? We start with training, creating curricula, creating lessons. And that's not the only advantage. It's not the only true kind of jewel of VR and immersive technologies. We started at the Dave School using it actually for new student orientation. We were doing this way before the pandemic. We hooked up with Chris, I don't know, like a year and a half, 2 years before the pandemic, and we started this to do some outside of the box things. We started figuring how could we best utilize this, what things could we do better. And one of the things was students come from all over the world to come to the Dave School, but before they get here, it's very difficult to do orientations. There's Zoom meetings and there's all those kind of things, but we found bringing them all together into a forum like this was an extremely effective and enjoyable experience for everybody. The students got to meet each other. I could walk up, shake their hand, ask them questions. We're all in the same room, yet we're all in different ends of the world. So new student orientations was the first way we got started. And here you see a class of students. The other thing that was really cool about this particular platform for us was that we could do spatial recordings, record it, and then play it back and let them experience it later, or let other new students experience this later. That's something you can't do. You can't just get together a new audience of people to redo the experience for somebody. Pandemic hit, and we started doing faculty and administrative meetings also in VR. We just found that that was actually a better forum. We could feel like we're actually together rather than the typical Zoom meetings. Immersive learning experiences, here's one that Chris did for us of the D-Day invasion. This one's just sort of a no-brainer. This is, I think, where most people's minds immediately go when they think of doing VR and immersive, because it's experiential. You're not reading a book about it. You're not seeing a movie about it. You're not looking at some sort of PowerPoint about the D-Day invasion. You're standing there at point to hawk with planes flying over your head and explosions happening around you. There is no more vivid, experiential kind of learning environment than this kind of learning environment. The other thing we found during the pandemic, which was sort of an interesting byproduct, is that we could invite guest speakers from all over the world, people who we could never get during most normal times because they're plainly just too busy, that we could actually have heads of studios and people in positions that very, very rarely could we get them to actually come to the school, and they were happy because they were all stranded at home. Now, after kind of as we trail off to the end of the pandemic, this has become a very convenient way for somebody to sit in their pajamas, halfway across the world and pop in for a workshop with our students. Award ceremonies. We used to have the big red carpet events. I'm going to take you to the one of the first environments that we created. We created it. Good English, John. We created it specifically to do something that we couldn't do live, which was bring everybody together during the pandemic and have an award ceremony where people could come up on stage, accept an award. We could show the student reels and do all the things that we would normally do in person. But there was a big advantage to it, aside from the pandemic side of it, was that we had this ability to do the experiential extra things, which we're going to kind of take you through some of them in a little bit. We did some very traditional things like handing out an award, taking a picture with the award. We did red carpet type ceremonies, we kind of, if you look behind you, you'll see that up in the air, this is a very primitive version of it, but we developed where we would put these floating chairs in the backs of the rooms, and we would have multi-camera shoots. This is actually one of the stages we used to do 5, 6 camera shoots, edit them together later for other presentations. We did our 20th anniversary in here, which I won't bring in the assets for you to see, but this whole back of the room was lined up with movie posters, and we had the Hall of Fame awards on the wall. We had so much stuff in here. It was pretty amazing. Special events. During these kind of crazy times, putting together a special event, aside from the logistical type of things, like how do we actually get people together, allows your mind to kind of go crazy. Chris and I were just on Mars 20 minutes ago. Where could you do that? This was a recreation of our soundstage, which I'm going to be taking you to in just a few minutes. It's an actual double of the soundstage that sits right underneath where I'm sitting right now. The other thing we realized is there were some things that we could do that we would typically have to go elsewhere to do, like doing job fairs and trade shows. This one was actually one we did with the VR ARA, but we've also done job fairs at our school. We had motion picture visual effects companies come and camp out and take resumes and have private conversations. One of the things that we loved about this platform in particular was engages. They're being receptive to us making suggestions as to things that we thought were really important and great ideas, and I think that makes this platform in particular very successful. One of the things that you all have experienced having been here is the 3D sound, where you can limit the scope of conversations to a finite area, making private conversations possible. And then something like a job fair or a trade show where you want to kind of go off to the side and do these kind of private conversations, that becomes a critical thing. If everybody can hear everybody else, I'm sure you've all been to VR, type chat areas where you can hear everybody and it's just a large cacophony of noise. You really can't conduct business in that kind of a setting. Virtual field trips. Another kind of really interesting one. This is one of the setups from Victory XR. And then there's the student service experiences. This is something that we kind of thought up later on. We thought of it's the sort of the depths of the pandemic where people were getting really stir crazy. Nobody could get out. Everybody was locked down. We said we need a way to get our students out of the house, so to speak. So we created this virtual 50s sci-fi drive-in movie theater, and on Friday nights we would play these old bad sci-fi and monster flicks. And the students, one of the things that really was kind of interesting about this was the differentiation between an actual, a video event like a Zoom or even a real event, in that you're not, if you were in a classroom or an auditorium type of movie like this, you might have fun, you might watch the movie, but it's different when you can do things, stupid things like this. We made, actually, I can't take credit for, I can take credit for it for this event, but Chris was actually the mastermind of this. I saw him do this at another event, which gave me the idea to do it in this event. And we were at the high-rise loft apartment, and we were, I don't remember what meeting it was, but there was a meeting going on, and then afterwards, everybody was just kind of hanging out. And all of a sudden, I could see what Chris is planning something over there, and he starts handing out little bottles and glasses of wine. And everybody starts picking up a glass of wine. And it was interesting to watch how the tone of the whole party changed. We were at a business event, and people are walking around with a glass of wine in their hand, and suddenly the whole mood lightened, the conversations changed, and it was an interesting dynamic to me, because there are things in VR that are present that really change the whole scope of what an experience, what an event is like. So I said, let me try this another way. So we made hot dogs and hamburgers and popcorn and things that you would typically find at an old drive-in theater. And it was pretty amazing to see people walking around these little kiosks we had. We had a space guy. We were doing Plan 9 from outer space, so we had this space guy, and there was popcorn and stuff floating in the air. It was pretty amazing to watch the people's reactions. It was like being at a drive-in. There were people walking around. There were people going to get something out of the kiosk. So the thing I want to try to sort of portray is that you need to think outside of the box when using these immersive experiences. There are things that you can do that you just can't do in the real world, and we tend to get trapped into the paradigms of what we're used to. So it takes a little bit of creativity, thinking outside the box, and being able to utilize these for more than just lessons. You can use them for customer service. You can use them for all the soft skill stuff that's really tough to get across sometimes. These are really fantastic. Anything that involves interpersonal relationships are really good. But the thing that you really want to keep in mind are these sensory components. I know one of the things that you find when you spawn in one of these environments is sometimes you'll spawn very close to somebody else. And if you watch people's reactions when they do spawn next to somebody else, they'll tend to take a couple of steps back because they're too close. Well, you're in VR. It doesn't really matter. Why do you take a step back? Because we still have these sensory sort of paradigms that we're used to, and it's interesting to see how they apply. One of the things that I tend to do, I did this at the beginning of the event, when we see a lot of events, Zoom events, if you've seen them, if you watched any of the late night TV shows where they did this during the pandemic and they're doing it remotely from their house and they're telling a joke and nothing, silence. It's not normal for us to hear. It changes the scope of event. So while it's a little bit of a nuisance to do, during every kind of event that we do, when somebody wins an award, we hear this. And it's interesting how everybody waits for the end of the applause to continue talking, and they feel like they were at an event. Everybody they can look around, and sometimes people start actually clapping. So you get that full-on immersive sort of experience. So with that said, I'm going to take you on a little journey, which is another one of those great things that we can't do normally. And I'm going to take you to some of the places that we have implemented these type of immersive experiences. So first thing, sit tight. Screen's going to go dark for a minute, and we're going to reemerge on our soundstage downstairs from where I'm sitting right now.
Right. We're on 3D audio, so if you guys want to undo your mics, if you're in a quiet area in the real world, feel free to do so.
So welcome, everybody. You are now on the back sound stage of where the Dave School is located. I'm actually, right now, while we're talking, I am sitting right up here in an office, right above the sound stage, right up there. So you guys are all sort of virtually right downstairs for me. This was one of the
digital
first
twin.
Digital twin.
Does that feel weird to you, John, like being in your place of work?
It does feel a little weird, but you know what? There's something I've always loved. Actually, one of the first environments that I created doing an immersive was a duplicate of the school with the hallways and everything, and we used to run around, and we did it in Unreal Engine originally. So it's sort of, I don't know why, I've always loved sort of little doing miniature work and doing that kind of thing. So it's still really cool. One of the things that I thought was really neat about this was the ability to bring in guests who couldn't, by show of hands, how many people are on the East Coast of the US here? Okay, how many people are on the West Coast? Few. How many people are overseas somewhere, Europe? Few. Okay, so there is no way that I would have gotten you all here downstairs into our soundstage. There's no way that I could have showed you what this place, no matter how I described it, no matter how many pictures I showed you, you could have never experienced what it's like to be on our soundstage. This is our motion capture area right here. We do motion capture for games, for for motion picture visual effects, for digital doubles. This is our green screen. And then our school and our offices are all down here and upstairs here. We're actually 3 floors of school and office. So within 3-5 seconds, I brought you all here to Orlando, let you all kind of take a walk around our soundstage and sort of see what this is like. And sit tight. I'm going to transport you because I want you to see how we do our awards, because it's sort of another thing. This is a great location for doing seminars and workshops and kind of the down and dirty of what we do as visual effects and game artists. But then when it comes to the sort of the lighter stuff, for the presentations, for the awards, for the red carpet ceremonies, I want you to see what our solution was to that. Sit tight. Screen's going to go dark for a second again. So welcome everybody. This is our awards hall, and this is where we do our awards presentations. We do screenings of our students' reels, and we've had quite a few award ceremonies, probably 10, 12 award ceremonies. Plus this is also, if you go onto the Engage platform, you can actually come and visit this and use this for your own events as well. It's a very popular one with a lot of different organizations. The thing that I want you to kind of go back to my presentation on is this is a result of thinking outside of the box. Not only is it just the fact that we created these kind of cool environments to have these events to get together, but our students created these environments. It was sort of one of those things. Thank you, Chris. It was one of those scenarios where we were trying to figure out during the start of the pandemic, how do we get the students kind of geared up, because this whole getting into a VR, awards kind of frame of mind was really kind of odd at the time. People were still not really very accepting of it. And one of the things that we kind of quickly realized is the more invested, the more we could think outside of the box and say, okay, you are now going to create the hall that you will have your own awards ceremony in. So, it's not that you have to do that, but just kind of get in that kind of framework of mind of thinking outside of the box, thinking of really interesting, out of the box type of solutions that you can implement. There are so many different kind of events that we have. Everything. I mean, we'll get to the point where we can, come and have card games, casino night. I don't know. I'm sure we're going to be thinking of all kind. We have a new one planned that I told Chris about just a while ago. That's going to blow everybody's mind that you'll get to experience in a few months. But again, I'm going to take us on one more journey, I think. So hang tight. I'll wait till everybody pops in. For anybody who's hungry, We've got hamburgers, we've got hot dogs, and popcorn.
Drive-in theater. That's excellent. That's cool.
And
What do you do if you get mayonnaise on the upholstery, though?
you can just reboot. Yeah. Yeah. Let me actually load up the full shebang here.
Need avatars on roller skates as well. That'd be cool.
Great date night.
I like how the screens are not obstructive of the wind screens are not obstructive of the actual screen, the movie. Thoughtful design. Yeah. This is great.
Yeah, let's see. Here we go. This is we did it, I believe.
Nice.
And this is we did this in cooperation with the AIGA in Northern Florida, and their artists created the artwork for these cutout artworks that you see here. And you can see the little kiosk that we built in the back for the popcorn. And again,
this is so cool.
Yeah, and so what I want you guys to think about is don't stop here. Don't stop at just the obvious. So there's always the little extra. So everybody, you can follow me behind here. For those of you who are kind of adventurous, we kind of wanted to plant little Easter eggs. So we put a bouncer back here to make sure nobody gets backstage. It's like kind of a secret entrance over here. There's a bouncer. But if you're adventurous, you can kind of just go through him.
Love it.
And there's a more intimidating bouncer over here. So he really doesn't want you going in. But if you're really adventurous, you can kind of skip by him too and go backstage to the VIP section that Chris and his team so thoughtfully created for us.
If only real life you could just walk through the bouncer, right?
Amazing.
This is great.
But this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about as far as putting that extra out of the box thinking into an experience makes it something you won't forget. You know, it's the difference between a Zoom meeting and an experience that you will literally remember for the rest of your life. As silly as this is, you know, it's pretty silly.
And so, Jon, obviously your students are designing this, which in itself is fantastic. So they get the hands-on experience of designing it and the design considerations and everything. But do you then also use these assets for training? Like how to handle yourself backstage with celebrities, or protocols of getting past the bouncer and security and stuff like that? If we did things like that, we would. This one was created by the Engage team. We kind of decorated it with. We built the cars out there. Yeah. The car was one of our models that we had students do the popcorn stand, and we worked with the artist to create the art and all that kind of stuff. So we kind of use them as multi-use opportunities. But yes, in effect, those first two places that you saw, the green screen stage is a place where we actually do training. The awards hall, we actually do awards. So they both get the sort of hands-on experience of learning how to create these optimized environments and then actually utilizing them and have the pride to, when they're at an awards event, go, I made this, That's
in addition.
So cool.
Yeah. So
that's fantastic. And have you got plans to develop more environments as well? Have you got
I actually just turned a new one over to Chris to take a look at. We have this really cool big gigantic, we're trying to get bigger and bigger. These couple were our first forays into testing our feet in these waters. We typically work in a very high poly environment for motion picture visual effects. So this low poly kind of creation is a little bit new for us in a lot of ways. We're even our game and immersive students in tech work for like console, so we work for a much higher poly. So the thing that I think is fantastic with this is the ability to get 50 people into one of the rooms. To me, the trade-off is well worth it.
Yeah. Another question, just as you're speaking there, I'm aware that the Dave School does digital animation. In my mind, I'm just seeing like Bugs Bunny running around in here. But spatially, is that something that we can expect at any time soon?
Yeah, absolutely. The new project we're working on for this platform that you will be able to experience at some point in the next few months actually is starting to involve animation with it as well.
Amazing.
Yeah. So we got our feet wet with basic environment. Then we went to higher poly models with this this drive-in here and the popcorn and all the food and everything. And now we're going to be moving into full-blown animation and interactivity and full experiences.
I can't wait for that. Thank you so much. Oh, we got a video loading here. Oh, look.
Nice.
Look at that. There she is. You ask, you get, right?
Wow.
Yeah, how cool is that?
That is so cool.
Crazy. Phew.
And that's always facing as well. Everybody sees that. That's so cool. You ask, you get. I love it. Wait, I got to take a picture of this. Hang on. Oh, it stopped. Can you play that? There you go. That's brilliant. Amazing.
So
that
I actually have one
for me. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so I actually have one more experience to show you. Chris, I'm going to show him the one that I just we just with
yes, please. Yes, that's so fun. Let's do it.
So the guys and gals from Engage finally updated something that we've been waiting for a long time, which is sort of taking this to a whole different level. Here we've got the basics of low poly, workflow models to bring into a fully immersive 3D environment, but there's kind of, again, you got to keep an open mind and think out of the box. So here's one more option for you to think about. So hang on. All right, we'll wait till everybody pops in here.
Right, just while we're waiting, Chris, I have a challenge for you. To have an avatar next to that animated thing, and then a Zoom live screen person hologram type thing, like the three together in one picture.
That would be fun. Yes,
that would be hot, huh? And in theory, could you? Sorry, John, I'm getting.
Yeah, go ahead,
John, do you want the avatars to be visible in this or not visible?
Yeah, let's leave them visible.
Okay, cool.
So everybody can. What was your question?
Well, just curiosity, would it in theory be possible, Chris, in this scene to bring in a green screen overlaid over the 360?
Yes, you would need to do that in the editor.
Wow. Okay, cool. Just all right.
So let's say that instead of giving you a representation of the school, what if I actually wanted to take you to the school? So here's a test we did a while back that with this new release make this possible.
Oh, it's a 180. I haven't seen that yet in here. 180 3D. That's amazing.
Okay, so you are actually downstairs. That we've remodeled since here, so it looks a little bit different. But you are now in the downstairs hallway of the school. And let's say we want to go to a classroom.
Yes.
You are now standing in one of our immersive game classrooms, and now you're standing right next to a student. And the cool thing about this is no matter where you are, we're all relative to each other, which looks a little weird, but no matter where you are, you're all seeing the same experience. So it is a nice controlled environment.
Oh, that looks great.
And now you're on the real version of the soundstage.
That's great. Is this like a video of stills? Or
it is. It's a video of 3D 180 stills.
And what camera did you use, Dave?
This was the, I believe this was the Evo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So now you can kind of see, which is kind of interesting.
So
You can
good.
kind of see it's our 3D representation is pretty good. It's not too bad.
Really
It's a little
good.
different. But this allows you to actually experience the real thing. This was the idea was to take our guests and be able to bring them to our booth at MegaCon. And you get everybody gets to see Godzilla.
That's
Nice.
amazing. So
And this was one of our orientations pre-pandemic.
so good. Just when you think you've seen it all, you see like Avatar standing in the middle of people. This is nuts.
And this is a little trip to Miami. I wanted to try to test out and see how this feels in a 3D VR environment. So I wanted to kind of get some things with some depth.
And where was that last image?
These are in Miami.
Okay. Wow.
Here's a kind of a cool texture.
John, I've got a crazy idea when you're ready.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, we'll let the program finish. If I don't know how many more slides you've got.
Who's that?
That's Alan.
Hey, who is
Alan
that
Smithson.
guy?
I recognize
Alan.
him.
Hold off here. Where is Alan? Is Alan with us?
Yeah,
right
where is
now?
Alan? Alan, you got to stand next to yourself.
Alan, you got to go stand up in front of this group so we can get a picture of you by you.
Where
If
are
he's
you?
here.
Yeah. I don't know if he's.
Where is
still
he?
here.
He
Oh,
was
he made
here
it
early.
bailed.
Shame.
Just
Wow.
this is a remodel of our. This used to be the Nickelodeon animation stage here.
Oh yeah. Yes.
And then we just wrap it up with a little bit of a scenic.
Beautiful.
So the ability to actually bring reality into this is only going to get better and better.
Yeah. Yeah, because pretty soon you could do live streaming of this, right? Imagine that.
Right. And we
Wow.
actually have this in video as well. It's not, the quality isn't quite up to the 5K, so it kind of breaks down a little bit, but it'll be here soon.
Wow.
It's amazing.
All right, John.
It is.
See if you can take it back to the still picture of the orientation where you had like a facilitator at a podium and then the whole group standing by folding chairs. See if you can go to that spot right there. And I know Madsen and Carlos, I think we can stage everybody to be standing oriented within that audience. It'll be an incredible photo.
Yep. I've already got a bunch of photos of you guys in
same
exact
here,
perfect positions.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, hang on.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see.
Steve, what is it that you want to do?
This one right here. Yeah.
Yep. I can get all of you right on that stage.
Oh, on that stage?
Everyone gets around Kurt.
Somebody's got to.
It's a relative.
So one person's got to go there first, and Chris, tell us when they're there.
I got that's good right there. I just got a great picture. Yeah.
So it's
It's good. These are going to turn out really cool.
What I'm trying to do is see if we can position everybody so that they're
Oh, yeah.
looking at the screen.
Uh-huh.
So that yeah, John, come stand over here next to me. You see what I'm going here?
This is tricky
Oh,
because it's all relative to somebody else, isn't it?
It is.
Now we need to have a director direct everybody right over to that spot over there, looking at the screen.
Right.
Just like
Here's what we do. Everybody just gets together on one person.
And then the
takes
camera
picture.
person
Yeah,
moves.
exactly.
'Cause
Everybody
I've been
just
in
join
my own
around
position.
Steve, John,
Here,
and Daniel.
I think I got it. How about here,
join
Steve?
over there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Is
good.
this
right where
from your
John is?
perspective?
Right where John is. Yep.
Where's
Yep,
John?
I got a good
John.
shot of that.
All right, we got everybody gather around
everybody come
John
on over here.
please. Yeah,
And then we'll
That's
look
it,
towards.
face in the same direction.
Which way do we?
Yeah, there we go.
Look this way.
Perfect.
Look this
The
way.
guys on the left, I can't read. Carlos and Rami, if you can move just a. There we go. There we go. Everyone is
where
on
are
the
you, Chris?
stage now. I'm
Which way are we
invisible.
looking? Like,
Sorry.
I'm looking
Oh.
at the
So I'm the size of a mosquito, so you can't see.
Oh.
Yeah, we're all looking out.
Here we go. I got you, guys. Raise your hands in the air. I'll get a good
Yeah.
shot there. Awesome.
cool.
That is perfect, guys. That looks so cool. All right.
Tell me, John, is
Nice.
that unlocking the minds, Daniel?
Yeah, right.
I love it.
Very much, man. My brain is the color of the brain on your T-shirt, Steve. There.
Yeah.
I get it, man. I'm right there. Carlos, high five, man.
How can we see that picture?
I love it, dude. Carlos is in VR today.
It'll
This
be
is
on
unusual.
Twitter
Yeah.
and Facebook later on today, I'm sure.
And
John, this
so,
is
like I
amazing.
said, it's a matter of really thinking outside the box, the things that you can do in these environments with these technologies, and they don't require tons of programming. They don't require,
Yeah.
a lot of pre-production and setup. It's just really, I know these guys, Chris and Steve, and we all geek out kind of coming up like, hey, you know what we could do? Just like just now. I mean, we just came up with something kind of that I don't think we've done before. And it was just
Mhm.
like, oh, that looks really neat. One of the things that we're working with is bringing actual geometry into these kind of 3D background scenes to have these hybrid kind of scenarios too, which is also really cool.
I have one more question for you, John.
Sure.
Can you imagine teaching your course fully remote using this technology where you don't have any physical contact with the students?
Absolutely. In fact, in the Unreal game engine, I actually have a working model of that where we actually have cameras that actually work, and they're projecting onto screens, and you can take the cameras apart, and you can actually teach the whole thing. So we're working. The challenge becomes closing the gap between what's able to be done in a really super high-end system, and then being able to get 50 people in at the same time live across the networking. Then there's still a gap there.
Yes.
So,
yes.
but it's just to me, it's just a matter of time.
Fantastic. That's amazing. Everybody, please, a big round of applause for John. Can we get the applause, John?
We can.
Yeah, there you go. Clapping's turned on, everybody.
Yeah, clapping's turned on as well. There we go.
Thank you.
Hey, John,
Thank you.
I'm going to wait till the applause is finished.
Very cool.
Thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure.
Seeing what you are doing with Dave's school and your students, I consider myself fairly accustomed to what this technology is doing and what the industry is doing, but it's remarkable that you still are pushing the boundaries. So thank you for sharing that with us. Best of luck with your courses and your projects. I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of each other as well. You're engaged and so on. Anyone got any other questions for Dave? I know you've been taking questions as we go, but maybe just a couple of questions. And if not, that's okay as well. Once again, thank you, John.
You're very welcome.
And thank you to Chris. Thank you to Donna. Thank you to Red Fox for filming. Thanks to our sponsors, HP and their new headset, Omnicept. Thanks to Engage Platform and Grove and LearnBright and Tony Cube Studios. Thank you, everybody, for another fantastic event at the Universal Experience. Wonderful. All right. Do we want to stay? I'm not saying we have to. Oh, that's cool.
Oh, there you go.
That's cool.
I was doing an applause and I inadvertently brought in a.
Oh, can you turn on the collider for that, John? And they can actually go up the stairs and onto the.
It doesn't. The collider. I think the collider broke in one of the updates.
Oh no! Can you share? Let me share that with me. Let me try something with that.
Yeah, I had put up one of those. I had put one of those.
Here we go. Okay. Okay, try. See if you can go up those stairs now. Anyone?
Oh.
Yeah, there we go.
Hey, sweet.
Awesome. Look at that. That's cool.
Is the collider
funny
just
how
off?
the background stays.
Yeah, the collider was just turned off. You have to hit the 3 dots and then turn it on.
This is like the VIP booth, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Where's the wine, Chris? We need some glasses there.
Oh yeah, totally, huh?
There we go. I'm gonna share that. Clone. Here we go. A glass of wine to celebrate our hard work here in immersive environments. It's such a slog.
There we go.
There we go. Sorry. Yeah.
The big one.
The big one, yeah. Look, this one over here, we can jump off the stage into it in a minute. And go swimming in it.
Oh, pizza.
That's some big pizza.
Daniel, I have a
Big
question
pizza.
for you.
Yes,
What
please.
hour is this for you? You must be on hour 13, 14, 15 today. I mean, because it's late.
Yeah,
over there
it's
in the
it's
UK.
midnight again, but I sleep late, so I'm not complaining, and I'm not complaining anyway because this is the best job in the world at the moment.
How about a round of
So,
applause for
Oh, I appreciate it.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Guys, you're the excuse I get to do this, so thank you to you all, you know. It's for me, it's being a part of this community and people who are pioneering in this way. I'm learning every day from the people we meet and we work with, and that's the idea of Educators in VR is, I mean, we have our institute and our membership. That's kind of our business model, but mostly we started out to bring people together to collaborate and meet and share, and if that's what we're doing something right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This is cool. Oh, we got disco lights now. Here we go. All we need is music now. And you.
Yeah,
you
that's one thing we didn't.
Chris, be on it. Give him 10 seconds. I know.
Well,
he's
I
working
was.
behind the
We're in the
scenes.
360 room, so I'm gonna have to pass. Well, actually,
Oh,
you
I
know what?
see.
I can. Yeah,
Actually, there's probably.
Makeshift.
Oh, burgers! We have burgers and fries. This is
Yeah.
amazing. Cool. It's the fast food upgrade. Ooh,
Yeah, there.
Love it. Boom.
Oh, nice.